Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. How are you guys doing? I know it's the last speech of the night, and I really appreciate, mashallah, your commitment to stay all the way. What's the time now? 8 o'clock, so I better start, that's right. It should be finished by 8:20. Today I would like to speak to you about a word that was repeated 32 times in the Quran, in 19 different chapters, surahs. When we put this program together, we were thinking about what's the theme or the message that the Quran focuses on. And one of the things that we found the Quran again and again talking about is children, dhurriyyah, the word dhurriyyah. This repetition, just many times the Quran speaks about the word or mentions the word dhurriyyah. As I said, 32 times in the Quran. This points to the significance of the word dhurriyyah, which it means offsprings or children. You know, family is the cornerstone of the society. And for that reason, Islam placed much emphasis in the importance of family. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in many verses in the Quran told us about the importance of looking after our family, raising a strong family. يا أيها الذين آمنوا قوا أنفسكم وأهليكم نارا. Oh, who you believe, protect yourself and your family from the hellfire. وأمر أهلك بالصلاة واصطبر عليها. Order your family to pray on time and be patient with that. يوصيكم الله في أولادكم. Many times Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tell us that He remind us of the rights of our children. And He clearly stated what some of the rights are. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala praise Ibadur Rahman, the one who say, رَبَّنَا هَبْ لَنَا مِنْ أَزْوَاجِنَا وَذُرِّيَّاتِنَا قُرَّةَ أَعْيُنٍ وَاجْعَلْنَا لِلْمُتَّقِينَ إِمَامًا. They pray for themselves and for their families, for their children, for their spouses, that they will be a قُرَّةَ عَيْن, cool to the eyes. Often when we think about children, we often think about how can we raise them? How can we protect them? How can we teach them? How can we provide for them? That's what usually people talk about when they talk about children and family. And I believe that's natural. As the Prophet ﷺ said, كُلُّكُمْ رَاعٍ وَكُلُّكُمْ مَسْئُولٌ عَنْ رَعِيَّتِهِ. Each of you is a shepherd, and each of you will be held accountable for his flock. The Prophet ﷺ, yes, he recognized that, and the Sharia recognized that natural thing, that we look after our children, we, as I said, provide, protect, and that's the role that we play in their life. Teach your children and family good manners and etiquettes. في مصنف عبد الرزاق النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم said, علموا أولادكم الخير وأدبوهم. And I can go on and on in many ahadith and many verses talking about children from that perspective. But today or tonight, I would like to look at our children and look at children from another lens, from the lens of learner. How about if we tonight, before we go home, we a little bit focus on what can we learn from our children. There is this young boy was holding 2 apples in his hand. The father said, hey, why don't you share one of them with me? The son quickly took a bite from each apple. So the father said, you know what? Why? You should learn how to share. That's not nice. You know, you're not going to be able to eat all of them, both of them. Why don't you share one of them with your dad? You know, you should be generous. You should be this and that. And he started like teaching him a kind of lesson about generosity. But the boy with a very soft voice, he said, Dad, actually, that was not my intention. My intention was to find out which one of the 2 apples is sweeter to give it to you. The dad said, at that point I realized there is much I can learn from my child. There is so much I can learn from my own kids. A lot of time we forgot that this, many times Allah talk about children is to make us pay attention to everything related to them. And today I would like to share with you some points, observations that I have about children. Since Allah, alhamdulillah, blessed me with a good number of children and I've been watching them growing over the years, okay, I can share with you some of my experience. Number one, persevering. Children do not give up easily. They are goal-oriented. Obstacles are ignored and they focus on their target and what they want to achieve. You know, tell your kids no to this, he will find another way to talk about it. He will keep insisting to go and to achieve what he or she wants. Don't you agree? You know, it's so interesting how they are so focused on their goals. And when they want something, they try every possible way to achieve that goal. You know, I wish us as adults, we pick that attitude from our kids. I wish us as adults, we're not willing to give up easily our dreams, our goals, just because of the challenges and the obstacles that face us when we try to achieve our goals. You know, every time Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and Dr. Ahmed today when he was talking to you about his experience, it just put in my mind and heart, you know, how important that we focus on our goal. Because if Dr. Ahmed didn't have a goal, he will not be able to go through these obstacles of his life, with these challenges in his life. When you have a goal in your life, you have a meaning for your life. You guys, can you think of a basketball game where there is no goals to score? There is no ring. We just pass the ball to each other. How boring game this is. Can you imagine football game with no goals? Can you imagine soccer with no goals? Hockey with no goals? Very boring game. That's exactly how your life is, a very boring life. You're all willing to give up anything easily. But when you have a goal in mind and you're driven by your goals, you're driven by dreams, your life will be completely different. I do believe one of the secret behind the success of every successful movement, it is because they have clear goals. So many times, not us as individuals, but us as a family, as a community, we don't have even clear goal that we are committed to it. Ask many of us as a community leader today, unfortunately, say, what's your goal in your masjid? What's your goal in your community? You as a Dallas community, what is your big goal that you try to achieve? And what we're trying to achieve as a community in North Texas, for example, you will see most of the time we don't have a very clear vision of what we want. Most of the time we are not driven by our goals. Most of the time we are driven by our problems. You know, big difference between Martin Luther King when he used to say, I have what? I have a dream. Can you imagine if Martin Luther King used to say, I have a problem? Driven by his problems, he wouldn't go anywhere. Can you imagine the example Dr. Ahmed gave you? If he every day woke up and he say, I have a kidney problem, and instead of saying, I have a goal to achieve, I have a change to make, I have a point to make to myself and to the people around me. That's a big difference between us as a community who often driven by our problems and we don't focus on our goal and willing to drop them quickly. Number two, a positive attitude toward mistakes. Children, before they go to school and they taught in school, being wrong, it means bad. They figure in their own, being wrong, it doesn't mean bad. Being wrong, it means an opportunity to learn. Being wrong, it means an experience. Being wrong, it means something I can discover, something I can change. It's an opportunity for me to grow. Very positive attitude towards mistakes in life. But often us as an adult, our mistakes are the reason for our failing. You know, success is not ever, it doesn't mean ever that you don't make a mistake. It doesn't mean that you've never been knocked down. Actually, success, it means you can stand up every time you're knocked down. Every time you make a mistake, you come back and you correct yourself. You know, our Muslim theologian talk about, you know, العبد قبل الذنب أو بعد التوبة أيهم أعلى. you are better before you commit a sin, or you're better before you make a tawbah, repent to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And they give the example of Adam. They said Adam, after his sin and repentance, he was higher than Adam before committing any sins. He reached higher level. He became a prophet even afterwards. So when you repent to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that's something elevates you. Our religion teaches us to have a positive attitude toward our mistakes, and to look at them as an opportunity for us to learn and to grow. I'm sorry, I'm kind of rushing it because I don't have much time, and I would like actually to end my talk earlier than my time, at least for once in my life. Okay? So, number 3, I love about kids, they have they have an absolutely beautiful, pure heart. Children do not have grudges. Forgive easily in most of the time, okay? They are transparent about their feelings. Adults should learn from children this quality. They should know how to, they should learn to deal with one another with the same level of sincerity. If you were extend an act of kindness toward the child, okay, what will happen? You will see the attitude of this child completely change tremendously. He would easily forget about whatever wrong you done to him. You know, sometimes maybe I will do something to my kids and I will say, hey, Omar, let's make a peace, or my son or my daughter, hey, let's change that, and I'm sorry. And I take him out for, a good ice cream or something like that. I'll give him a gift. He will change and he will be happy, and things are forgotten, and we move on in our relationship. But many adults, no matter what you do, if you buy them the whole chain of Baskin Robbins, okay, if you give them whatever, they will never forgive you. So many people, adults, you do a lot of good to them in your life, and one time you make a mistake, one time you do something wrong, one time, is not your day. Maybe it was not that, you did wrong to them, and it will never be forgotten. Spouses, they hold grudges toward each other. Oh, you remember, there is people, when you have your screen and you minimize the screen, okay, it's always there. One click, bring it up again. Some people like that. When they deal with you, they never close that windows. It's always there. It's always ready to pop up in the screen again. There is people like that. The moment you see him or you meet her, what's happened? Immediately your file pops up and the history. Yes, that's happening that day and that's happening, and always in the back of their heads. That's very bad. That's very wrong. We need to learn how to forgive. We need to move on in our life. I was telling a brother yesterday, talking to me about the concept of forgiveness, and he was telling me how some of his friends or some of his family member have wronged him badly. They did something so bad to him. And he said, Sheikh Waleed, they did this. This is evil. This is meant to hurt me, to hurt my family. It really did. It almost broke my family. And I said, hey, when you forgive someone, do you forgive someone who have harmed you and caused wrong to you, or you forgive someone who did good to you? He said, you know what? I got it. You're right, Sheikh. Often we forget that forgiveness, it means to forgive those who have wronged you. That's what forgiveness is. أَلَا تُحِبُّونَ أَن يَغْفِرَ اللَّهُ لَكُمْ? Don't you want Allah to forgive you? So learn how to forgive. Learn how to be willing to forgive others. Whenever you forgive people, you don't set those people free. You set your heart free. Every time you forgive someone who have wronged you, you set yourself free. You don't chain yourself to that person that you hate anymore. You just forgive him and you let it go. Number 4, ability to adjust. Children adjust quickly to the new environment, quickly to the new school, much faster than adults. They quickly adjust to the new home, to the new stage in life that they are in. This is a big challenge to so many adults today. They don't know how to adjust to the new life that they have. A lot of people cannot adjust that, you know what, my kids is not anymore elementary school kid. My kids is a high school kid. My kids is the middle school. My kids now in college. You know, my kids is now married. She has her own house. She has her own life. A lot of parents cannot adjust to that. They don't know how to deal with that new change in their life. A lot of adults cannot adjust that, you know what, maybe the career that I have and I get laid off, I can't work anymore with this degree. I can't work anymore with this kind of experience. I need to adjust to the new situation that I'm in. I need to learn new tricks. I'm not too old to learn. You know, I need to go back to school and to learn. You know what, my community is different. I can't live in the past. Things change. A lot of time we cannot adapt to the change that happened to us and we became paralyzed. I wish that we can learn from our children the ability to adjust. One of the most beautiful meanings Ibn al-Qayyim rahimahullah talked about when he was talking about the concept of as-sabr, being patient. He said, as-sabr, one of the meaning of as-sabr is your ability to adjust to the new situation that you're in. As-sabr is not just passive thing, doing nothing. It's your ability to adjust with the new situation that you're living in. Number 5, that's my favorite part about kids. You know what it is? What is it? It's they smile a lot. Kids, they laugh, they smile. You know, a study shows that average kids smile 200 times a day, while an average adult smile 14 to 17 times a day. And I bet you anything, this percentage is way lower in the Muslim community. You know, one of the common factor I found between Muslims beside La ilaha illallah, okay, that they don't smile often. Believe me, I travel the world. I travel all over the United States of America. I go to many masajid. The common look in the average Muslim face in the masjid is checking you out. It's very rare to find someone who smiles. Just genuinely smile at you, come across to you, and he give you this beautiful smile even if he doesn't know you. As if we didn't hear what the Prophet ﷺ said, تَبَسُّمُكَ فِي وَجْهِ أَخِيكَ صَدَقَةً. Your smile, it's an act of charity. As if we never heard Jabir radiallahu anh and Aisha radiallahu anha and many companions saying, I never met the Prophet ﷺ unless I found him smiling. As if we never come across a hadith like that. As if we never come across statements like this. It's strange how many of us, unfortunately, became a borderline grumpy people. I think it's about time to change that. You know, earlier I said about Dallas, I have always this, competition between me and Sheikh Yasser Burjas about why you should move from Dallas to Houston, okay? And why Houston is 10 reasons for you to move to Houston and all this kind of back and forth with him. That's why I always make a joke with my friends who live in Dallas. But the following point is true about Houston. You know, we have a St. Luke hospital in Houston. And this is the first hospital in our nation, actually maybe worldwide, but in our nation, who start treating people with laughter. They start an experiment, as basically an observation that they use laughter as a form of medicine. A study shows that when you laugh a lot and you smile a lot, actually you live longer. One common factor between all those who live long life, that they laugh a lot. This brother, he said his grandma was in the hospital and he said, hi, she's like about almost 80 years old. He said, Grandma, how are you doing? She said, I'm fine. You know, they draw some bloods, and so far they roll out pregnancy, you know. So waiting for the rest of their, she's joking. That's the Spirit made her live that long life. I have in my community a brother, mashallah, he's African American brother, beautiful brother, who works in Montana in the winter in one of the resorts, skiing resorts, and in the summer comes to Houston. I said that's the wrong time to come to Houston. Anyway. MashaAllah, he's so active, he's so strong, look fresh, He would never say, his daughter, she's a professor in the university, in Clear Lake University. And I always tell him, mashallah, how come you so, shining like that? Very fresh and strong, always walking. He said, Sheikh, you don't know? Black don't crack, He said, you know. And I said, that's what it is. That's basically, that spirit that kept him strong. What I'm saying here, that studies showing that our body produce naturally a natural killer cells called NK. These are cells that are responsible for attacking all viruses and all bad cells that turn and potentially can be a cancer cells in your body. You produce that on a daily level. But alhamdulillah, you have in your system that NK cells responsible for attacking them and killing them and not make them effective. Guess what? Study shows that when you laugh a lot, these NK cells not only increased in numbers, but also became more active. A lot of studies just try to Google healing through laughter. And as I said, this hospital have a leading, basically research in this area. So hospital humor is not a joke. It's a true. It's a free medicine that Allah have given us. Use it. I will prescribe it for you, and I don't need to be a medical doctor to do so. I'll say, smile at least, 3 times a day before meal and after meal. If you ever pass one of your friends, pass by anyone who don't have a smile on his face, give him one of yours. It's one of the most contagious things. One of the most beautiful things to have. If you ever think that you lost your smile, because I can see all the faces, but I see some people maybe looking at me in a strange look. But I'll tell you, if you think you lost your smile, it didn't go anywhere. It's under your nose. Just smile and be happy. Go home today happy. Number 6, discovery. Children are naturally curious. They continuously making discovery in their life. They try to figure out the world around them. Adult, unfortunately, somehow, at certain point in our life, we lost that curiosity, sense of curiosity. We stopped discovering ourselves. We stopped learning about new things that you don't know about. At one point you think you know enough. No. وَفَوْقَ كُلِّ ذِي عِلْمٍ عَلِيمٍ. Above each knowledgeable person, there is so much knowledge to be obtained. As Imam bin Rajab said, al-ilm, knowledge is 3 stages. When you enter the first one, you became arrogant. You enter the second one, you became humble. You enter the third one, you realize that you're ignorant. The more knowledge you have, the more you feel how ignorant you are. That there is so much out there you don't know before. That's why, you take it from me. If you find any student of knowledge who's arrogant, you immediately know that this person is still in the first stage of knowledge. The more you see the person's down to earth, the more knowledgeable the person is. We stop discover the things that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put in us. You have so much talents, you have so much things in you can utilize. You can benefit the ummah from. When I was in high school, my teacher took me to a place. And he said, Waleed, I want to take you to a place where ideas worth millions of dollars, where ideas can change our city, can bring a lot of change to the world. I was wondering, where is he going to take me? University? The Chamber of Commerce? Where are you going to take me? He took me to the cemetery. And that's true story, happened to me. He said, you see this cemetery? There is people buried there, have idea can change the city, can change maybe the world. Idea worth millions and millions of dollars. It's reals at that time because I live in Saudi Arabia. And he said, the only problem that it's buried with them. They never really discovered. They didn't make it happen. He said, Waleed, make sure when you go to your grave, your ideas and whatever talents that Allah giving to you, it will not be buried with you. Your talents are gifts from Allah to you. What you do with them is your gift back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Number 7, trust. Children are noticeably trusting of others. People who choose to trust tend to be happier. People who choose to trust others, they live more a stable life. You know, people who have good faith in others usually live a life that's much, much better than those who always doubt others. You know, trusting people is not a weakness. It's a good character trait. Trusting people, it is always payback, in my opinion. I'm not saying don't let people fool you, but you know what? I would rather to be mistaken in error in an area of being trusted someone and maybe he's not trustworthy. But you know what? But I live happy. I know many people told me, Sheikh, I lend people money, they never give it back. But I never regret it. Because you know what? Alhamdulillah, I learned from my, but I still trust people. Those who always think of people in a negative way, they don't live happy life. Our community need to learn how to trust one another. We need to trust the unknown names. You know, so many times we only trust big names. But if I hear a speaker who's not famous, I don't have trust for that person. You know, I don't trust the youth to give them responsibilities. I don't trust maybe members of my community to give them the responsibility and to let them lead. We need to learn how to trust one another. And we need to work on that in order for our community to grow and our society to be better. Also, one character trait is very good in kids, confidence. My son thinks that he is the best football player in the world. My daughter thinks she is the most beautiful girl in the world. You know, my other girl, she thinks her hair is the best hair ever exists in the world. And everybody, all kids think of themselves that way. They are the smartest, the fastest, the strongest, the most beautiful. This confidence in themselves is such a great quality. I wish us as an adult, we have confidence in ourselves. We have confidence in our iman, confidence in our deen, confidence in our talents, confidence in our knowledge, confidence in our society, confidence in our community. I wish that this sense of confidence, sense of high self-esteem exists in our life. Believe me, much different picture you will see in your life and the life of the people around you. Number 9, kids are, mashallah, very active. You know, are always on the go. I wish that us as adults, we became a little bit active like kids. We became so lazy as we grow old. You know, this guy was the doctor and he said to the doctor to him, hey, you have to be careful. He said, what, doctor? He said, your blood test shows you're a diabetic. He said, oh, doctor, you know, diabetes runs in the family. He said, son, I'm worried that nobody runs in the family. That's why they are diabetic. You know, that's what the reality is. So what we need to be more active a little bit. Sisters and brothers, young and old. We need to be more active. You know, just one hadith. Keep it in mind tonight. بايعت رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم على ألا أسأل الناس شيئا. I gave my bay'ah to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and I made a promise to him. I will not ask people anything. The narrator said, I will be on my camel and I will drop my stick on the ground. So I'll stop my camel, goes down, get off the camel, pick the stick and go back and ride my camel again. I will not ask the one who were next to me or walking to pick it up for me. I will not ask my servant. I will not ask my slave at that time. Can you imagine? 10 years I served Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Anas ibn Malik said, he never asked me a single day to do something for him. Can you survive 10 minutes, 10 hours without asking your mom, without asking your wife, without asking your kids? You know, I'm guilty as it can be when it comes to my kids. You know, sometimes I feel sad for kids. You know what they say today? One of my kids said that day, he said, Baba, you know what? I think parenting is the only form of legal slavery that still exists. You know, we like slaves. We have to work for parents. But anyway, it is an interesting concept. Being active, you do your work. Kana Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he fixed his own shoes, he fixed his own clothes, he do his own things. He fixed his own bed, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. My point is, let's be an active community. I love about my masjid when they start a cycling club, like a bicycle club. So every Sunday that they go, basically riding a bicycle for 5 to 10 miles. And it became something, a habit and growing. People running, people participating in activity, in physical activity. I want to see this more in our life as a community. And the last point I would like to end with, knowledge. It's for the first time, in my opinion, in the history of humanity, where you might find kids know more than parents. I don't think ever in the history children had more knowledge than the parents. But I believe in our modern days, our kids knows in many areas way more than the parents. You know, I can tell you that they are very, very different than the way my generation grew up. You know, every time I used to go back to my mom and dad. Now, my kids don't come back to me. They go to Google. You know, they have the technology. You know, I learn a lot of my kids. I always, when I drive them around, I ask them, hey, even my kids who are in third grade, you know, sometimes he will tell me things I didn't know about it. That day he was telling me, Dad, do you know which animal is the only animal in the world can see front and back in the same way? I said, I don't know that. What is it? He said, you know, hammerhead shark. Wow, that's cool. You know, wallahi, I'm telling you the truth. Just try to invest. Try when you see kids in the, if you're not parents yet, even kids in the masjid. And instead of screaming at the kids, try to listen to the kids. And let them share with you some of the things that they learn in school. Share with you some of the things that they learn in their schools and their life. You will be surprised how much they know. So learning and knowledge is another thing that I wish as adults we grow with it. I want to end my talk and I'll say that we should appreciate these character traits in our children. We should make it grow. You know what? Don't neglect your children. Don't neglect these qualities in them so it will die early in them. Nurture it. You know, invest in your children. Invest in your family. Let's invest more in our young generations. Why our masajid are not friendly to our children? Why our masajid don't invest time and effort and thoughts, well programs made and prepared for children to nurture them in every aspect. Let's make this a priority for us. Because if we have a strong generation growing, we will have a strong future, a legacy that it will be left behind us. Because life is not about what we gain. It's about what we leave behind us. It's about what we give. It's about what we make. It's not about the money. It's about the family that I leave. That's more important than whatever materialistic things you leave behind you. My brothers and sisters, I would say in the end, this is a message for the kids. Don't ever think of your parents, don't ever think of adults as enemy. Don't ever underestimate the sincerity of their advice. Please, there is this notion that a lot of young teenager boys and girls, they have this attitude that, kind of separate them from the adults and feel them. Maybe they are different. Maybe they think in a different way. But I will tell you something. I'll tell you, never find in the world someone who loves you, someone who cares for you, so sincere to you like your parents. Invest also in your relationship with your parents. You know, I lost my both parents in about 1.5 years apart. And this is a gate for me to paradise. And that's your gate to paradise. And it's the middle gate of paradise. No matter how tall you are, you always look up to your parents. No matter how tall you are, you always look up to your parents. There is this kid was sitting in a chair and the father behind him, holding his son's shoulder. MashaAllah, he became strong and growing old. And the father said to this child, who do you think is the best man in the city? He said, me. The father kind of surprised by the answer. He said, you? He said, absolutely, Dad. The best man in this city is me. The father didn't feel right. The answer was not maybe the thing that he expected. He walked away and he said, Dad? He said, yes. He said, do you want to know who is the best man now in the city? He said, who? He said, you. Then he said, how come? He said, I was the best man in this city when you were standing behind me and having my shoulder. That would have made me the best man in the world. But when you are in front of me, you are the best man. You know, I want you to look up to your parents and to have that respect and love for them. They have great rights upon you to make dua for them, to learn from them. Because one day, you're going to be separated from each other. And I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to gather us all together in Jannat al-Na'im and to make our parents, make our children righteous, and to hopefully that this message of an inspiration today, to inspire us to go back tonight after this long day of talking about many different subjects, that we are motivated to make a difference in our life. You know, to make a change, even if it's a little bit of change in your life or people's around you, that will be the barakah of such gathering. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless you all and bless your families. Wa sallallahu wa sallam ala nabiyyina Muhammad. Thank you very much for coming out to IlmFest 2016. Dallas rocks, mashallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.